So is this apparent belief that all of Trump's promises will come to fruition and in the best of ways? Is that justified and already baked into this market, Guy?
Well, this has nothing to do with President Trump now, but he's walking into a market, and there was something going around the internet today. 9 of the metrics that we talk about seemingly almost every day, but from time to time, are in the 98th to 100th percentile of where they've been historically on the overbought side of things. That sort of flies in the face of what we saw in January of 2009 when all those metrics were at sort of 1 or 2% in terms of being on the oversold. So when Jamie Dimon says that, there's reason to say it, and that's CAPE ratios, Buffett indicator, price to earnings. There's a myriad of different things. But with that said, these indicators are not a timing mechanism. We say it all the time. But what I've tried to say is what these suggest is the market has less and less room for error on the upside.
So, I always like to hear what Jamie Dimon has to say, of course. But I feel like, animal spirits don't trade to fair value and stop, right? So the pendulum has swung. We don't know how far it is in its path to go. I agree with you, you can't really trade around and try to say, oh, I'm going to sell things at fair value, and then I will absolutely have the chance to buy them back later. It doesn't work like that. So for me, I'm always staying long, though I do look at the volatility index. I think it will be higher in the not too distant future, so I'd be inclined to buy some protection there.
Yeah. Last night you were casting some doubt over these commitments as well in terms of the AI infrastructure project.
I mean, listen, all these companies have already committed to spending tens of billions, if not hundreds of billions of dollars over the next few years to build out their infrastructure. I would say, it's not all going to be in the U.S., and maybe that's the thing that's changed. But whether it happens, and this is new capital looking to kind of make these sorts of investments, I think Elon is right. Where does the money come from? These companies, again, have to be very careful about CapEx. I know that they're not willing to ask for permission, and they would rather ask for, obviously forgiveness, if the thing doesn't pan out. But I think we're going into a digestion phase. The last thing I'll just say is that, well, I'm sure I'll say a few other things, but the last thing I'll say in this bit is that, the Trump administration is coming into a pretty decent economy. If you think about it, you have unemployment at 4%. You have, PCE and CPI, on their way down 3%, however you measure it, on their way maybe to 2%. And then you have GDP. It was 3%, last year, expected to be 2.5%. These pro-growth sort of policies, if they work, should have GDP trending higher. So, I mean, to me, at the end of the day, we're all, no matter what side you're on, we want the economy to do well and we want the markets to do well. And maybe they're set up well to do that. But to Guy's point, there are some potential headwinds.
So, first of all, Elon Musk's comments are interesting to me because I could also interpret them as maybe they're starting to be a little bit of
rift.
Some sharp elbows, a little bit of infighting. Some people are certainly fighting over who's going to get the allocations to some of these mandates or actually some of that capital. I do think whether funded now, the message from the markets is it doesn't really matter. The message is there will be funding for AI. And I look at, the Bank of America Fund Manager Survey where there's a lot of interesting data in there. So the numbers that came out just yesterday, first of all, AI bubble was really a distant risk in terms of tail risk for the market. So if that's where the institutional community is, I think that's fair. In fact, the Fed, who's meeting Monday, suddenly, the Fed that could be a bigger risk for markets in the short term, I think, than a lot of this. I get back, though, to we have had some really solid earnings already. Look what the banks gave you. We had Netflix. We've had some, again, not the core is going to report next week, and really over the next couple of weeks, we're going to get into it. But the argument here is that margins are decent, that some of the most important companies in the world are as profitable as they've ever been. They came into this year as profitable as they've ever been. And then I would just get to the markets themselves. Are we starting to see that relative outperformance of semiconductors and the triple Qs again? And if we are, the markets are going higher. And it's great leadership. Whether you want it or not, it's the kind of leadership that says, get out of the way and don't fight it.